India's first real estate platform, mimicking the likes of a Brookfield has done globally.
Hello and welcome to the 11th episode of 8. My name is Sanjay Chakrabarti. I'm the founding partner of Tag8. The guest today is someone who walked into my office just when we were starting up. At that point of time, our office size was probably smaller than a regulation garage, but that's where I met him. I knew his uncle really well, and his uncle strongly recommended that it's always good to talk to a fellow entrepreneur when you are at the start of your business. The interesting part was that we hit it off really well in our first meeting, but that's not all. Before he left, he actually told me that, Sanjay, the most important part in a business, or rather setting up a business, is to get your first client. And I think we can do something together. I want to help you to make that start. I wasn't really sure whether that was just a gesture from his side, but I can tell you he's been my first client, and really everyone knows who started a business how important that is. I can't emphasize more. I'm absolutely delighted to have with me my dear friend Sahil Vora. He is the owner of Sila, which is one of the leaders in the facility management space. Recently, they've got into real estate advisory, real estate development, and lots more, which you'll hear from Sahil. He has represented India in squash for over 3 years. And I find that absolutely fascinating. Sahil, thank you so much for taking time out.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thanks for the introduction. Very kind words, and look forward to our chat.
Wonderful. Sahil, you know the format of the show, so let me jump into the first segment, one breath question. Who is Sahil Vora?
Sahil Vora is an extrovert, spontaneous, risk-taking ability is high, and often has to firefight because of those risks. But Sahil Vora is someone who likes, the pace of life to be quite quick.
Super. Sahil, the second question, tell us something about Sila, the magnificent company that you have set up with your brother Rishabh.
So Sila, Rishabh and I started Sila about a decade ago. We started selling CCTV cameras that morphed into facility management, then project management, now real estate development. So I'd like to now call ourselves a real estate platform where we've, backward or forward integrated, whichever way you look at it, into the entire spectrum of real estate services and real estate development. It's no more just the two of us. We have a very, very strong team, all over the country, and each one of us are laying the foundations of what we think is going to be an exciting decade ahead.
Outstanding. And one thing, Sahil, I would like to make a mention, because we worked back with several people from your team. I've always been very fascinated about the quality of people that you are able to hire, and typically facility management and a company that relatively starting off, for you to have that kind of a team is something that is really great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That is one of the things we spend a lot of time on, hiring right, and then, making sure that everyone is motivated and feels like they are owners of the company, in getting to where we want to get to.
Great. Sahil, my third question is, share some learnings that you've had. It's been almost 11 years now, and real estate is a tough segment, and you have such a huge number of employees working for you. Share some of your learnings.
So I think what there's learning every day. What I feel, is something that I've been thinking about a lot over the last few months. Is that the journey from 0 to 100, and I'm not going to put. I'm just putting numbers out there. Is very different from the journey from 100 to 500. So, I think as a business, the initial part of the journey of a business is hustling, relationships, firefighting, and that gets you to 100. But then when you get to 100 to go to 500, it needs to, be less chaotic. It needs to be a lot more organized. I know Jeff Bezos says it's day one every day. But, in reality, when the scale is different, you can't be working as if, the processes and systems can't be working like it's day one. But so that's a learning, and that's something we're learning today, is that how to manage scale. It's if people talk about scaling a business, like it's just about adding customers, right? But then there's an entire supply chain, logistics, infrastructure, and mindset also. The mindset of someone. We have employees who've been with us for 8, 10 years, and they reminisce about how we used to work. We used to all sit in one cabin, and but it's no more that, right? So I think that's a key learning, is that businesses go through cycles and go through journeys, different journeys, and you not need to know that what got you here won't get you there. There's actually a book by Marshall Goldsmith on that. And I feel that that's something that has been a key learning, is that the skills that got Scylla from 0 to 100 are not necessarily the skills that are going to get us from 100 to 500.
Outstanding. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely something that is very, very different from the first 100.
Super. Sahil, would you give us, say, the top 3 things that you plan to do differently than what you were doing earlier in your journey from, say, now, hopefully from 100 to 500?
So I think the 3 things that I need to. So one of the things is just my time. So I feel that my time needs to be spent, and my brother's time also needs to be spent on 3 things. One is strategic insight. Second is hiring right, and the third is firefight. So I feel that from going from getting into operations, accounts, compliance, and all the things that we were doing, I think we need to focus our energies on these 3 things, because the rest has to be, lifted and carried by other colleagues of ours. So I think that's one big decision, or one big change that has to, be brought about by me and my brother in how we spend our time. The second is, the use of data and data driven decision making. Initially, as a business owner, when you're starting out, you go with gut feel, and you feel something is working and not working. You're in this trial and error phase. When you've reached a certain scale, that trial and error phase should have completed, unless you're obviously getting into a new service or product. But in just scaling that existing line of products or service, I think data driven decision making is extremely critical. And the third thing that we need to spend our time on is strategic business development. So, you want to be working on, ours is a B2B business. We want to be working on 20 key accounts that could be, significant, right? Each
Right.
account being, a large number. So I think on strategic business development and CRM, I think that's where we need to spend time, because the step function from 100 to 500 or 100,000 is significant, and it's not going to happen with small accounts, right? So you need to be strategically working with the large conglomerates, for us, in our case, in facilities or other services we provide, because that will then get us to the next stage of growth, get us through the next phase of growth.
Right. No, some really sharp points. Yeah, very impressive. Let me get to the next question is, and you played for India, and frankly, I'm just in awe of every person who has represented India in any sport, especially the number of people that we have in India. To be able to represent in India is an outstanding achievement. Tell me some of your, maybe I'm changing the question a bit than what I usually ask, but what are the learnings from you being, you having represented India that you take back to your business?
Grit. So I feel that, when you compete at a certain level, the difference between winning and losing is that sixth gear, right? So everyone has five gears and everyone can get to a certain level, right? But the person who has the sixth gear in a sport, right, who has that last push, to think about a 100-meter sprint, at the 60-meter mark, if you see what Usain Bolt does, that's his sixth gear, right?
Right.
So I feel that in life, in business, you're always going to have hurdles, obstacles, um, and it's the people who have that sixth gear and that grit is who are going to obviously stand out over the long run. So I think that's one key learning that has come from playing sport. And my brother also plays sport, so we're quite competitive, just in general, and in a good way.
Right.
About and also taking defeat, right? That's the second thing, is that you also, with only trying to win, that's not how the cookie crumbles when you're playing sports. So we also learn how to lose, and we know how to lose. So
Right.
I think that's another important learning of playing sport. For a couple of decades.
Outstanding. Sahil, my last question again, one breath, is Sila in 8 months and Sila in 8 years.
Sila in 8 months, back to pre-COVID levels of operating efficiency. I'm not going to say revenue, but I'm going to say operating efficiency, because it's been hurt with all the supply chain disruptions we've had. Sila in 8 years, India's first real estate platform, mimicking the likes of a Brookfield, has done globally. We've backward integrated into the service side. We're looking at development. I mean, we're developing about 5 lakh square feet right now in Mumbai. So we would like to be seen as a reasonably sized, and more important than the size and the scale, trusted real estate player.
Outstanding. This has been great, Sahil. It's been an absolute pleasure to be talking to you. Thanks so much for sharing all your
No,
thoughts.
appreciate
And
it. It's a good crisp format, Sanjay. You have a future in this. I can see it.
thank you so much. And we'll catch up
Yeah.
soon.
And good luck with Tag8. We've Rushabh and I have always had respect for the way you all have been honestly building the business over time. We've obviously interacted when you started, as you mentioned, but even over time, our teams have also had a great experience working with your teams.